Money Mondays. All right, we're back.
We're back. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another lovely Monday with your beautiful host Ferris and his amazing friend Ben. So,
all right, well then, just call me the smart one. All right,
well, man, it's Monday, so you can call yourself whatever you want, dude. So, leave it at that. It's been a busy Monday to say the least, right?
Yeah. So we're here for folks that are tuning in.
Non-stop meetings.
Disrupt TV Studios, right here in Houston, Texas. We're excited to kind of do another Money Monday.
No, excited. So for those of you tuning in for the first time, remember this is essentially a show we're trying to do every Monday. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do next. I know next Monday is Labor Day. I haven't talked to Ben about it, but we're going to figure out if we're going to do that or maybe push that off to Tuesday. But really the goal is kind of every Monday do a live stream where we can hop on, talk a little bit about what's going on in the world, talk about some topics, and answer questions for people.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, please feel free to kind of put them in the comments below.
Yep.
Ben's pointing to the ground, but
everybody gets what that means,
hey Ben,
right?
you gotta like this.
I don't
you gotta
know,
subscribe here. Yeah. So we'll kind of run through questions anyone has. If we don't get to them on the show, please, we'll kind of make sure someone from our team goes through and helps answer any questions that are left out, or save them for next time.
Yeah,
right. And so we're still figuring out all the technical difficulties of studios, but hopefully soon we'll have it to where we're live streaming and people can hop on and basically do like a live call-in.
That's what we're building towards that.
Yeah, building. Me and Ben just need to kind of figure out what the kinks are and hop in. We're close, but. Yeah, so what's our topic for today? So the other thing too is we're trying to do a different topic, kind of some sort of direction. Otherwise, Ben and I will just be up here and mumbling for 10 hours straight, all sorts of topics. But this one, what's our topic?
I like to mumble for 9.5. But, today is all about building your network, right? As we kind of come off COVID, I know there's still parts of the country that are still kind of on lockdown or stay-at-home orders, but you have to be kind of looking towards the future and what is the industry going to look like, right? I know we've all adopted Zoom, something that me and Ferris were already doing before COVID kind of came around, but people are doing that more and more, doing webinars more and more, doing these online conferences, which are all great, right? But those should supplement your face-to-face building of relationships, right? Like a lot of people know our story. We met at a meetup here in Houston, right? So, this stuff works. So some of the other places, obviously Meetup is probably the big name.
Before we go down different places, so what's the goal with the network, right? And I think, it depends. You have to ask yourself, are you looking to syndicate? Are you looking to be an investor? Or are you looking for a little bit of both?
Yeah, and I'd say for both, right?
Yeah.
Because even as a passive investor, say you have no desire to do the stuff that me and Ferris are doing, right? Rolling up your sleeves and getting into the weeds every single day. Right? You want to be passive, or you just want to put your money to work, right? You still need to know the people to put your money to work with.
They say the phrase "your network is your net worth," right? And honestly, before getting into real estate, I didn't see as much of a value of the network, right? But then, kind of once in real estate, you start to realize. That's how everything happens, right?
Yeah.
That's how deals happen. That's how partnerships happen. That's how investments happen. That's how you grow, acquisitions, M&A. Anything you're doing, it's all tied to that network. And both having a good network that likes, knows, and trusts you, and having it documented and being able to reference. So whenever something comes up, you can not have to top of your mind try to remember, who's going to be a fit for this, but you already have a plan to tackle that. So definitely some things to make sure you kind of think through it and plan around.
And I'm kind of old school. I like to break bread, right? Maybe have a drink with somebody.
I love bread.
Probably
fresh bread is the best.
He's being very literal. He does love bread. No, but the best way to get to know somebody is just to sit down and have a conversation with them, right? And sometimes that could be at a meetup group, but maybe even a dinner or a lunch, or just go grab coffee, right? Especially for somebody that wants to be passive, you really need to like, know, and trust that person, and you're not going to be able to do that just through a couple phone calls.
Yeah,
right?
no, in this space, people are happy to usually talk about what they want and be cognizant of who you're meeting with, right? How much time you're absorbing from them. But if someone that's really busy, someone that maybe is not as good best of fit, maybe you go to their office, right? Make it easy for them.
Yeah.
And so we've done and had the same happen to us. So we've had people that'll come to our office. We've gone to other people's office, and we also will do dinners and lunches. And so kind of thinking through that, but really kind of outside of that, right? Once you've identified what you're trying to do with your network, right? Where you think your path is, right? Because you don't really know where your path is. It's a forest, and you kind of get to a fork, and there's always a million other forks after that. But as you kind of have a vision of where you think you want to go, what are the places to meet people? So we mentioned the Bigger Pockets and is one of the sites, right? And
Bigger Pockets.
We didn't mention that
forum,
one yet,
right? Most people are going to know that one. It's pretty big,
huge forum for real estate.
Both me and Ferris were kind of on that even before we got into multifamily. It's been around for better part of a decade.
And I tell people, I listened when I first got started, I listened to the podcast I was on there and just banged out 100 of those episodes.
Yeah.
Pretty much learned all I could and hopped in and figured out the rest, right? And so,
Yeah, so that's a way, the podcast is one thing, you're kind of getting more educated on that, but Bigger Pockets is you could get on and ask questions, right? What about so-and-so's group, or what about this, or what about that? And people will chime in, right? They'll give their opinion, right? And then you could potentially do a sidebar with somebody that you kind of see is adding a lot of value to the group and say, hey, can we set up a call, right? So that's one way to do it, Bigger Pockets. The biggest one these days, right, is really Meetup, right? Mm-hmm. Now, after COVID, I think that there's still going to be some ways that we're going to have to kind of live in the post-COVID world, right? But bottom line, networking is going to be key to building up your network, right? You're not going to be able to do it from your couch or behind your computer. So, but that's not just meetup groups, right? There's local RIAs and real estate groups,
yeah, and it's
too.
not, the other thing, too, is that we're talking about like meetup groups that are low commitment. You're going to a place, spending an hour or two or three with some people, usually free, right? And if you're looking for a local meetup, definitely go to multifamilymasters.com.
Yeah.
Definitely find a good meetup there.
They're
right?
everywhere.
There are a lot of them everywhere. But really, it's find a group, go talk to them, and learn what they're doing, right? See if it's a fit, and kind of go into that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. You got conferences, we talked about
and the conference is the other big one I want to talk about. So those are much bigger commitments, but you also find a different quality of people, right? Someone that is willing to spend the time and effort and money to go to a conference is usually someone that's more serious about it, right? It's not to say there's, not quality people at meetups, but it's just kind of in general, if you're to say the average, right? It is a higher quality, higher caliber audience.
So you brought up a good point, right? Talk about NMHC, right? The biannual or semi-annual conference that brings together a lot of the real estate and mortgage brokers as well as lenders, and then syndicators that are trying to grow their business a little bit, right? Talk about your experience there.
I went there this year, right? And so for us, right, kind of where we are in our career and our business is really, we're looking to continue to know more brokers, right? Mm-hmm. There's many of these people that we've had a lot of phone calls with, and maybe some of them we've met in person in Atlanta or wherever, but going to NMHC is a whole other world. You meet not just that person, you meet their team, you meet, kind of their bosses and their kind of people that report to them. And, they see you there as well, right? So it's mutual in terms of they see, hey, we're serious about it, we're committed. We spent the time, effort, and money to get out there and made it happen. So, NMHC was awesome. And then on top of that, there's a ton of parties there. It's amazing to me how many parties are going on in that 2-day span. And we literally
saying that
felt like I was back in college.
You're booked from like 7:30 a.m. all the way up until
one of the days. And so
night.
If you're going to go to NMHC, make sure you have a plan.
Yeah.
Make sure you have, you know who you're meeting with, and you have that all booked up in advance. I got lucky. I was able to kind of squeeze in some things because we kind of winged it a little bit, I'd say, kind of the last couple of weeks. But yeah, to Ben's point, I know one of the days I was there from 7:30. I was literally at the event from 7:30 till about 1 o'clock that night because I, met with people 7:30 to 5 or 6, and then the party started at 6:30, and I'm not going to leave for 30 minutes, and so stayed there and ate a lot, hung out a lot, met a lot of people. You get to know them socially too, because you might meet with some of these people formally, right, for a coffee, you're talking business, but then, at their parties, at their events, it's a lot more low-key. It's really a good environment to learn.
That's a good point, man. People kind of, you have to network with a purpose, right, is what I came from a sales background. This is just what I did. But, at the end of the day, right, you're not going to get away from just this how's the weather type conversation, this very kind of, not a deep dive into the relationship, right? You got to get to the point where you're talking about, hey, how the kids, right? And developing a true friendship with people.
Taking notes of it too.
Take notes, right? So when you follow up, you say, hey, how's Sally? Or, did Ron go to college this year, right? Or where'd he go, right? Where's he majoring?
Me and Ben are still at the how's the weather phase. Soon we might transition to the how are the kids phase, but we're working on it. But to Ben's point, it's important to know who you're talking about and what's going on in their life, right? Because that helps you understand that and be able to make decisions based on that too.
Yeah, so. And and one of the things too that I always tell people, right, when you're going into a networking situation, right, say you're going to Johnny's networking event, right, and you want to kind of strike up a conversation. Maybe you're not very good at the gift of gab and going up and just talking to people out of the blue, right? You find something that you can kind of see as might be a similarity, like, well, how do you know Johnny? Right, is a good icebreaker. So I know a lot of people get uncomfortable in those situations, but kind of always, if the host is somebody that you both would know, well, how do you know that person, right? And that will kind of do the icebreaker for you, right? Because trust me, the person that you're approaching is probably just as nervous as you are, right? So don't look at it as like, oh, this person's going to be some super networker and they're going to make me look stupid, right? Just go in there and be yourself. And once again, with the goal of genuinely trying to develop a friendship and a business relationship with that person, because you never know when you might partner with them, when you might do a deal with them, you might buy a deal from them. The broker, those people are going to, they're going to position the good deals to the people that they like. That's just how the business works, right? It really is, that type of business, and it's real estate in general.
People that they like and can perform, right?
Yeah.
So you got to perform, able to back it up.
Yeah,
You got to be able to talk the talk
sure.
and walk the walk. So
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
that's really kind of
I
how
think
that
one
world
thing that I
works.
wanted to point out, right? So after the fact, right? So maybe you're going to all these networking events and you're getting a bunch of business cards and you're doing all that. The follow-up is
Yeah.
key.
So what is your follow-up, Ben, with these business cards?
I'm still evolving in my follow-up process, and I always encourage people to continue to evolve and be better at that, right? But it's all in the follow-up, right?
No,
Because even at a networking event where you might get maybe even a 15, 20-minute conversation where you think you're digging deep with somebody, right? That's still not enough, right? That's not enough that they're going to give you their money. That's not enough for them to partner with you, right? It's all about the follow-up. Okay, so hey, I met you at so-and-so's event last weekend. I wanted to see if I could schedule another 30, maybe an hour sync with you just to kind of get to know you outside of that environment. Most people are surprised when you follow up with them because most people don't follow up, right? But you've spent all that money, especially if you're going to a conference or one of these groups that, that are out there and going to, a 3-day or a 2-day, you've spent the money to go there. Maybe you spent money on a hotel and a flight, develop those relationships.
And one other tip too I've learned is actually have a pen with you, and whenever you meet with people, once you finish, just jot down the 3 words that are going to help you remember. Because go to these events, I'll meet 100 people at some of these events. I kid you not. I'm sure there's events where I've talked to 100 different people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it's really hard to remember the first guy from the last guy, right? It gets to a point. And so some people will stand out on their own, but really, in general, the person might stand out, but your conversation with the person is probably not going to stand out. So, take notes, right? Oh, this guy's in Tampa. He has 1,000 units there, and he's looking for X, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I try to, and I'm not perfect at it, but I do try to do that. So then after the event, right, the following week, I can sit down on my desk and kind of go through the cards and figure out who to meet with, who do I need to sync up with, and kind of what the conversation is, right?
Yeah, it's a great
And they
point.
see that you're doing that, it's valuable, right? And so it's a habit that I've learned. I try to keep a pen in my pocket so I can kind of whip that out. And especially some of these people, you're like, man, that was a great conversation. I need to make sure I don't forget this.
Yeah.
And I do forget it 9 times out of 10.
Yeah,
So
you do.
writing it down, you don't. So-
Especially when you're talking with that many people, right? You're just going, even the best of conversations, you're going to forget what that person, what did they look like? What did we talk about? All I know is that was a good conversation. And then you're going through this big stack of business cards and you don't remember who that person was. So it's a great point. Take notes when you can, right? And they'll appreciate that too, because they're going to know, hey, this person's taking this stuff seriously. They want to make something happen.
Yeah, so again, for those that have questions, please feel free to kind of write them up. We'll have to take a look. And so we do have one question, Ben, so I'll go ahead and kind of read this one out. So basically, what are the kinds of local real estate events that you recommend visiting? We're going to.
I think it depends on your niche, right? If you're in multifamily like we are, right? You want to find a multifamily meetup or real estate. There's a lot of RIAs out there. RIAs tend to be, and that's a real estate investing,
more residential side of things.
Yeah, type group, right? It's more residential, more single family, more rentals, right, and flips, right? But doesn't say that you can't have some good networking there too. But I tend to look on Meetup and find an MFM chapter, if you're in the multifamily space, and go find that, because that's where you want to network with the right people, right? You don't want to go to an event where everybody's a flipper and you're the only person that wants to do multifamily, right? I mean, maybe you develop a little bit of a relationship with somebody, but the value is not going to be there, right? You want to be at a meetup where the other people are trying to do deals in multifamily.
Exactly, and so, and then sometimes you want to broaden, branch out, right? You see different new ideas, and so I do recommend going to some of the other types of meetups, but figure out what your niche is. You're only going to have so much bandwidth, you can't go to them all, right? Some people somehow manage to go to a ton of meetups, that's all they do. But really, kind of figure out what your strength is and kind of where you want to focus.
Some of us have other obligations at night, as I'm sure a lot of people do. You got jobs, you got family, and so maybe you can only get to one event a month. That's all the more reason to do your research on, is this the right event that I want to spend my Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night.
Yeah, cool. So, sorry, let's go on to the next question. So, the next question, I'll take this one. It's a tech one. So, basically, it's what tools do you use to kind of with a follow-up? So, for us, we use email, but we do put people in ActiveCampaign, right? And ActiveCampaign, it's essentially like a MailChimp. It's an email platform, and you can use it as a CRM.
Yep.
right? And on top of that, we do also have another freestanding CRM, which we're trying to probably rethink and maybe do it differently than what we've been doing. Kind of keep that under wraps for now, but but I do recommend having CRM, right? And so figure out what your goal is and what you're trying to do. But I highly recommend taking notes on these people because you are not going to remember whenever you do need something, whether that deal comes by or you're looking to raise money on something or you're looking to sell it, you're not going to remember who all the people you talked to were. Versus us, at least we can at least kind of filter it down. Hey, here are the 15 people that meet that criteria. Now let's kind of spend the time on each of them.
You can tag them too,
yeah.
right? I think that's important to tag somebody.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say maybe you went to a Rod Khleif event, right? And you maybe tag them Rod Khleif LA boot camp, right? So you can remember the 50 people that you uploaded. That's where you met that person at, right? Or that's one of their tags. You could also tag them Rod Khleif and then maybe passive investor. So being smart about that and how you upload that for the future is good.
And then there are tools, we don't use them right now because I do want to be able to follow up with most of the people, but there are tools out there that'll scan your business cards and at least digitize them for you, right? And so again, that's just another tool to kind of be aware of.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Anyone else have any more questions? Definitely feel free to ask. All right. Here's a good one. Ben, when did you lose your hair?
Does that
No,
okay,
no one
I was
asked that
about to say,
question.
Come on, seriously. Everybody knows it was. I had it all the way up until I started with Disrupt, and then
It's all Ferris's fault.
It all went to
the
went to
cause.
heck over that after that, man.
Yeah.
So, but
Cool. All right. Well, let's just call it a wrap, man. People
Monday,
definitely save your
Mondays.
questions for next time. We're happy to go through them.
yeah, awesome.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Money Mondays. See you guys next time.